They'll tell you. And it'll be very difficult to stop. So the question we have to ask is, when the state decides that military means is the only means in which to push through its policies and to crush those who challenge its policies or its authority in different parts, what do you expect people to do? In 1978 till 1978, the Maoists, the People's War Group, worked through mass organizations in Adilabad, Karimnagar and elsewhere. That is when they saw the success, the repression began. It is at that point that there was a big debate inside the party and the balance tilted in favor of picking up weapons and building, speeding up, setting up of squads. So it's not that anything happens in vacuum. It's not just that the Maoists are, right from the word go, believe in it. A lot of ML groups parted company and chose different path. But where have they landed up? What have they been able to achieve peacefully? I look at our next door neighbor, where the Maoists gave up and fought the election and emerged as the largest force. What does government of India do in connivance with the Nepali army and the most reactionary parties? Does everything to thwart them from coming to power. And yet we believe that the Maoists should give up armed resistance and fight elections? Ridiculous. Ridiculous. The only way in which they can do it is if they learn the lesson from the Nepali Maoists of first establishing their strength, the military and political strength, use it as a bargaining position. Only then do they stand a chance. The whole state system remains the same in Nepal, despite the fact that the Maoists have 40% of the seats in the Constituent Assembly. They can't change it. The judiciary is the same, the bureaucracy is the same, the army is the same, the ethos is the same, the laws are the same, the rules are the same. And yet we believe things can change peacefully. I don't know which world we live in. I'm sorry, it can't be done. It cannot be done. That is the reality that our government forces us to accept. It's telling us again and again and again. And look at it. Do you think any of the major reforms that are taking place today under UPA 1 and UPA 2, please read the statements of political leaders. Please read the statements of the government leaders. Whether it is law, and Virappan Moily talking about law and judiciary and Govardhan, I think Govardhan case about the forest, where he says that it's because of that, the judgments by the Supreme Court that the Naxals have gained ground. The Prime Minister declares that because of the false cases foisted on the Adivasis in different parts of the country, this has driven the Adivasis into the fold of the Maoists. So withdraw the cases, and a beginning was made in Jharkhand. When the Forest Act was being debated or was being mooted, what was the argument that was coming from Congress party and the other parties? If you don't do it, then the Maoists will benefit. Maoists will gain ground. The spectacle of Maoists, the fear of Maoists is driving many of the reforms. You remove the Maoist, and I bet all our people who talk about reform and partial results will discover that the government of India has stopped bothering about them. That is the reality. That is the reality, unfortunate reality that we have been placed with. Whether I like Maoist or not, we have to accept that these are the realities that are being thrown at us. We can ignore it, or we can accept and then learn to accept it and therefore take consequence of it in understanding the war and taking a position, whatever position. I take a position in favor of the Maoists. Yes, I declare. I don't think I'm in violation of Unlawful Activities Act. It's the government of India which is in violation of its own constitution that it talks about. Having foisted a war in which the Adivasis are going to be killed and are being the targets because the land is needed by the corporations. And this is not just me saying. This is what the Ministry of Rural Development report said. They said that the Salwa Judum was launched because Chhattisgarh government's attempts at signing MOUs and inviting mining corporations in 2000 met with resistance. And it was in order to create a rift amongst the Maria tribals that Salva Judum was envisaged and Salva Judum was created. And it was financed by Tata and SR. You don't expect any corporate media to say that. Their advertisement will stop. The truth is not going to come out from there. But here is an official document, a draft. Of course, the final report has removed this section. Because how can Government of India accept something like that? This will go counter to its own. I mean, however liberal Dr. Manmohan Singh may be, I don't think he can accept truth when it forms part of an official report. But this is what the MRD report said. And they said that today Tata and SR are waiting, along with other corporations, waiting for the tribals who have been displaced from that area, waiting for that land to be given to them for mining. It's not the left or those who believe and subscribe or support or sympathize with the tribals or the resistance, etc., who are saying it. This is an official report which says it. There is something to it, isn't it? So this war is not directed against the Maoists. I'm sorry. The war, in the guise of conducting a war, they're fighting and trying to crush the entire resistance today. Resistance which is trying to stop their lands and forests and other places to be and the waters taken. Please remember, even the MRD report says that 30,000 farmers in Orissa are fighting against Hirakud Dam's decision to give water on a priority basis to POSCO, which will deny 30,000 farmers use of water for irrigation for their own fields. Now, what are you going to do about the livelihood needs of these 30,000 families and people who are dependent on it, the agricultural laborers who are dependent on it? Nobody wants to talk about it. Look at in Chhattisgarh. Let me read out something which is very, I think, very interesting, and just shows you the extent or the limits of peaceful constitutional means. And this is not a make-believe. This is from the records of the State Assembly in Chhattisgarh, where they talked about the privatization of a river called Shionath. Shionath passes through several districts, including Dantewada. 2,000 hectares of land in Dantewada next to Shionath River have been handed over to SR. Now, the interesting thing about this is that in 1998, when the government handed over some rights over water to be given to a private party to enable them to supply it to industry in that area, the peasants naturally resisted because they said that this is going to affect us and our farms. What are we going to do? If you start giving on a priority basis water from Shionath River to the industry, what will happen to us? They protested. From 1998 to 2001, they carried on relentlessly against much opposition. Finally, in 2001, the State Assembly asked the Public Accounts Committee of the Assembly to look into this matter. What did the Public Account Committee say in its report, which came out? I mean, this committee was set up in 2003, and they came out with a report. Amongst other things, they characterized this handing over of river water of Shionath River, quote, as criminal offense, previous citation of which can only be found in the criminal world, unquote. Now, one would have expected that after such strictures passed by Public Accounts Committee of the Assembly, the government would resign from its position, withdraw, pull back, and hand over the water and take away the water rights that it had handed over to a private party for a princely sum of rupees 1, by the way. Okay? And they made in the very first year, this company, which had no prior history of working in this area, made about 15 crore rupees net profit. They got it for 1 rupee, they made 15 crores. Everybody went home happy. Brilliant. I really like this. And this, in fact, became a pattern. Rather than the PSC compelling the state to withdraw the privatization of